Just like its protagonist Isaac Clarke, the Dead Space series is willing to do whatever it takes to survive and adapt. This third installment has no qualms about borrowing and stealing to tweak its formula in the effort to become a supernova success.
It seemed to hold the promise of limitless energy until it produced dementia, insanity, and a twisted life after death known as necromorphs.
The limb-severing space madness you associate with the series still factors big in Dead Space 3, though in place of the second installment's forgettable competitive multiplayer, you'll find an intriguing co-op campaign. There's also a crafting element in play. Your scavenged spoils can be reconstituted into weapon parts, health packs, ammo, and more. Both the crafting and its accompanying economy add a layer of abstraction that detracts from the overall atmosphere. More often than not, you'll approach the derelict spaceships and science stations as potential gold mines, blindly riffling through their lockers and crates for scrap and somatic gel. Same with the bodies of fallen enemies. They're just one stomp away from yielding valuable crafting materials. Ammo and med packs still drop as well, though despite the relentless fights, the chances of running out of either is low, save for a few scant choke points. The fighting comes on thick, and even skilled players will be licking their wounds during encounters, applying med packs liberally. Rather than asking you to smartly manage your resources, survival requires that you deploy them at just the right moment. Unlike the previous entries, the enemy slowing stasis power is a necessity rather than a Hail Mary.
Okay, I look for it as soon as I'm not beat, stabbed in the face!
Crafting guns is the most reliable way to even the odds. The first workbench you find will lead to an overwhelming number of menus and blueprints to pore over. At first, there's little to actually experiment with unless you drop some digital dollars on resource packs, which you can later purchase with yet another resource, one discovered by the little robots you'll later acquire and deploy in your quest for salvage. The idea is that Isaac is an engineer, so it should make sense that he'd be able to fabricate firearms to suit a situation, and collecting the various upgrades and attachments for fashioning your own unique boomstick does give you that inventor's high. But just like the perfunctory scavenging, all the weapons fiddling feels at odds with the project of survival. Agonizing over stats as you dismantle old weapons and supplies feels like a bucket of cold water. The gun crafting can also easily tamper with the game's difficulty and flow. The persistent inventory, along with the chapter select feature, invites grinding. Completely ignoring the gun bench is not your best interest either. The combat escalates to a level where your default weapons just won't cut it. Sloppy saving that can put you back several checkpoints makes this even less desirable.
Whoa, mine!
The undead necromorphs are ready to pop from ceiling panels and air ducts at a moment's notice, with jump scares occurring at a wearying frequency. The latter half of the game, which takes place on a stunning ice planet, has necromorphs sifting under the snow like sharks, ready to pounce. In spite of the change of scenery, though, the main source of tension is the sheer numbers of necromorphs you'll face. The sound design remains creepy and provocative, but you'll more often be expecting an ambush from all sides, which greatly reduces the magnificent spell of surround sound. Necromorphs aren't the only danger you'll face. Necromorph-worshipping unitologists persistently hector Isaac and his crew. These firefights are sparse, which is for the best, since they feel clumsy as you scramble for awkward cover, while the robotic AI traces a constant beat on you regardless of where you move. The rare three-way standoffs between all parties evince a germ of genius. Dead unitologists reborn as fresh necromorphs, eager to battle anything in their path, pop up all too seldom. Those unitologists are also a reminder of the absolutely wretched story at hand, with a pompous, ill-dressed villain who's more Muppet than gratifying miscreant. Your own plastic-looking crew also spews melodramatic immersion-breaking barks. Even Isaac, the once quiet protagonist, is guilty of some cringe-worthy zingers.
Hey! Hey! What is it? What's going on?
Nothing. Everything's fine.
Isaac and company's journey to the snowy planet simply goes from bad to worse. Thankfully, the spaceships that incorporate their early adventures give way to the side quests and spacewalks that serve as Dead Space 3's highlights. Threats of asphyxiation are diminished with ample oxygen supplies, which make exploring the few open outer space areas a delight of discovery. Meanwhile, the optional missions seem better scripted and more interesting than the majority of the main game's tasks, owing to their self-contained nature.
You Isaac Clarke?
Get the fuck off me.
Answer me! Tim? Who the hell are you?
Lift him up. Up! I don't have a lot of time, so I'm gonna make this brief. I understand you're something of an expert on markers. You created one.
I didn't make shit.
Moving from the single player to co-op puts Dead Space 3 in a new perspective. You'll get the feeling it was designed for 2 players and then stripped down to work as a single player campaign. The inane puzzles that act as speed bumps throughout the game take on another life as joint operations, and while not exactly brain-taxing, they're rendered far more enjoyable. Likewise, the co-op only missions offer some interesting scenarios from both a combat and story perspective, with the second character experiencing hallucinations both unseen and unheard by Isaac.
Whoa, hey, God, what the hell are you doing? Stay away from it. It's okay.
Dead Space 3 is the rare co-op game you might want to try with a stranger for a little added anxiety.
Why did you do it?
Carver and Clark's expedition is often intense, but at the same time, overly familiar. The switch from outer space to a Hoth-inspired topography will reset your expectations, but the novelty won't last long. Dead Space 3 has the bad habit of drawing you into a tantalizing catastrophe right before goading you right back to its more tedious and borderline exploitative elements.
Clarke! How the hell did you... Never mind!
The quest is long and the side content plentiful, but it all comes at the expense of the atmosphere. In our estimation, it's a poor bargain.